Well, greetings YouTube submachine gun fans. Welcome to my video where I document me trying out my new CFW-A bolt on these two upper receivers. I'll talk about them in a minute, but first I wanted to comment on the plastic box that the CFW-A bolt was shipped in. This nifty little box is the perfect size for shipping or storing the CFW-A bolt, but that would also be a perfect size for storing an OEM bolt, or in this case, a Lage M11 22 bolt. So I really like that, and I'm planning to get a couple of extras of these boxes for storing my Lage 22 bolts in. Now, this is the CFW-A bolt, and you can see the name of it here on the side. And unlike any part that would be found on a stock Mac submachine gun, this bolt is really a piece of art. This is a precision manufactured piece of machinery, and I'm impressed just by looking at it. So many thanks to Vegas SMG for bringing it to market, and also to Coffee Freak Mike for developing the original CFW bolt. Now, I wanted to test it on these two uppers, and this first one is very similar to an OEM upper for an M11-9, except this is a side cocker and the barrel's threaded a little differently, but the barrel is the same 5¼ inches or so, and so the rate of fire on this should be the same as on an OEM bolt. And this upper has the same kind of side cocking upper, but it has a barrel that's 11 or 11½ inches. With an OEM bolt, this upper has an extremely high rate of fire. I haven't measured it, but I'd estimated it to be about 2,000 RPM, which is pretty cool in some ways, but it hammers the lower receiver pretty hard. And so after, I don't know, a dozen trips out with this upper, it basically broke the welds in the back of my lower receiver because of how hard they were being hammered. So I don't recommend this upper for an OEM bolt, but I wanted to see how it does with the CFW-A bolt. So let's go to the Wayback Machine and see how the CFW-A bolt did with these two upper receivers, and compare it roughly with the MAX-11 just for fun. It's installed in this side cocking upper, and this is going to be the very first shots taken with this bolt, and we'll see how it does right out of the box. Well, that didn't go well. That didn't go well either. Okay, we'll try a different magazine. Instead of the half-height Zytel magazine, we'll try a Shockwave mag. That was better. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. Kind of surprised that there was a issue with the Zytel mag. I actually generally have pretty good success with them. They've got the steel feed lips mounted in place. Okay, that worked better. Okay, this is close to an OEM upper with the CFW-A bolt. I'm going to shoot it one-handed. It's not the safest thing to do, but we're going to see how it goes. And I'm going to shoot it two-handed. Okay, so this is a Stony Creek side cocking upper with an 11-inch barrel, and I'm going to shoot this one-handed. It's equipped with the CFW A bolt, and I'm going to kind of assess its bouncing around while shooting one-handed. Okay, not the easiest handling, not the safest either, but that was that. Now here it is if I hold it with both hands. Okay, that was pretty good. Okay, here we have an original Lage MAX-11 upper with the standard bolt and the standard A1 flash hider. So I'm going to shoot this one-handed and compare it with the CFW A bolt in that other upper. So the barrel lengths are different, the rates of fire are going to be different, but I'm trying to generally assess how smooth it is or how bouncy, and we'll just give it a shot. And we're going to shoot it two-handed and see how it compares with the other upper. Not too bad. Pretty nice, pretty smooth. Okay, that was pretty smooth. Well, what did we learn in these videos? Well, the first thing we learned was that with the short-barreled upper and the CFWA bolt with its recoil spring and the stock configuration for an M11-9 doesn't have quite enough oomph to strip off the first 2 rounds in a tightly packed half-height Zytel magazine, which really isn't a big deal, and it's not a very much of a criticism, because when are you really going to want to use a half-height magazine in a submachine gun? I only use it for certain testing purposes and mainly for shooting off the bench when I'm sighting in an optic. But it was an interesting result that I haven't experienced with other bolt upper combinations. We did learn that the rate of fire with the short-barreled upper was about 660 to 675 RPM, which is well within that sweet spot comfort zone, I think, for most people shooting a submachine gun, making it very controllable with a healthy rate of fire. Job well done on that rate of fire. And even with the 11-inch upper, shooting at 770 RPM, that's still kind of in that sweet spot area. And if that CFWA bolt had been available when I bought that upper originally, which was before the MAX-11 came out, I may never have bought a MAX-11, because the CFWA bolt and that 11-inch barrel would have provided me with what I really wanted out of a submachine gun in terms of barrel length and rate of fire. That would have been tragic, because then I maybe never would have dealt with the Lage manufacturing folks, and maybe I wouldn't have acquired the Lage M1122 conversion kits, of which I bought a couple, and worse, maybe I wouldn't have acquired the MAX-11 which would have been super tragic if I had never bought those. So maybe it's a good thing that the CFWA bolt didn't exist when I bought that 11-inch upper. As expected, we did see that with the short-barreled upper, we got the most muzzle rise, the most bounce of the different combinations. I expected that, no surprise there. The lesson to be taken away from that is, if you're going to be using a short-barreled upper, I think I would highly recommend that you have a vertical foregrip to use with it. I just don't happen to have any vertical foregrips for my OEM or short-barreled upper, but when I did use 2 hands, the amount of muzzle rise went way down to a degree or so, and that was much better. With the 11.5-inch barrel, the muzzle rise was even less, a fraction of a degree, and I noticed an interesting result in the video where I'm shooting that 11-inch upper with 2 hands. The first part of the magazine's bouncing around about a degree or so, but the last several rounds in that magazine, that barrel is hardly moving. If I could have just maintained that technique of holding the gun through the whole magazine, that would have been wonderful. I guess that just shows you my skill is not super. But we did learn that with the CFWA bolt, that 11.5-inch upper is really a good combination. Okay, something else we learned from these videos were that the MAX-11s are really sweet uppers. I didn't really film these videos with the intent of making it a commercial for the MAX-11, but it is a really sweet upper. It's very controllable, and of the configurations in this video, it was the smoothest firing with the least amount of bounce. In a full auto burst, you know, in sort of its steady state bounce, those bounces were typically less than 1 degree, so it was quite controllable. Also, there are differences in how it bounces with the standard A1 flash hider compared to the Carlson compensator. Now, it may not be obvious or easily apparent to the casual observer watching these videos, but with the Carlson compensator, things work a little bit differently. For the typical firearm and with the A1 flash hider, the typical response you see is that when the round fires, the muzzle rises, and as you continue to hold it and it cycles, you get the little bounce. That's still true with the Carlson comp, but what really happens, if you look at this carefully, slow frame by frame or something, when the round fires, the Carlson comp actually causes the muzzle to dip. It actually goes down and not up. But the overall effect, while it is in kind of a steady state burst, is similar. The muzzle deflections overall were about the same and were typically under 1 degree of rotation when I was holding it with 2 hands. And why do I say rotation? Because that's all that I measured. I didn't measure lateral displacement up or down or side to side, because to me that's a pretty insignificant effect. If your firearm displaces a 1/2 inch up, your point of impact is going to displace a 1/2 inch up as well. But with a rotation of 1 degree over a distance of 10 yards, say, that 1 degree of rotation is going to move your point of impact 6 inches. And over 100 yards, that 1 degree will move it 62 inches, which is not insignificant. So I only measured the angular rotation. I didn't measure horizontal or vertical displacements. I did this in Photoshop, by the way. This casual test, which was by no means rigorous, showed me that the MAX-11s are really quite pleasant to shoot, quite smooth. But that wasn't really the main point of the video. The main point was to try out the CFWA bolt, and what we did learn from that is that with an OEM type of upper, the short barrel, the CFWA bolt makes that much better firearm. It's probably what Gordon Ingram would have wanted originally if he had thought of it. If he'd thought of a tungsten bolt that would cycle more slowly. So certainly for short barrel enthusiasts, I can highly recommend the CFWA bolt. Is a very good product. Similarly, I can recommend the MAX-11 as a very good product. And I guess that's really all I have to say about any of that. Thanks for watching the video. I hope it wasn't a complete waste of your time, and have a great day. Bye-bye.